Something we get asked on a regular basis is, how do you quote a job as a light installer? If you're new to the light installation business or you're exploring it as a career option, you'll want to watch this video to get a better idea of what it could look like for you. So let's get started. Before quoting a job, you'll need to decide your gross profit margin. Consider all your business costs and how much money you want to make after it's all said and done. Is that a 50% margin? 30%? 20%? The correct answer should be whatever can consistently bring you business. You don't want to lose jobs from your margin being too high, but you also don't want to miss the opportunity to make as much money as you should. And ultimately, you want a margin you'll be happy coming home with at the end of each day. Then you want to figure out your COGS, or cost of goods sold, and then you can determine what your price will be to achieve your target gross profit margin, which you'll quote to your prospective clients. Okay, let's break it down further. When quoting a job, you'll want to quote according to the types of installs. Most of the time, your installs are going to be with roof lines, landscaping, that's trees, bushes, shrubs, etc., and ornaments, which you could also categorize floodlights, wreaths, and garlands as. So for roof lines, you'll need to know the unit cost of the bulb, socket, clips, and other accessories. For landscaping, you'll need the unit cost just of string lights and accessories. And for the ornaments category, you'll do unit cost per item plus the accessories. For each type of install, consider the amount of time for labor in the form of installing and removing the lights. Knowing this will help you decide what you should charge your clients. For roof lines, installation will take 1 to 3 minutes per foot of roof line. For landscaping, 8 to 12 minutes per string of lights. And for the ornaments category, that will be 15 to 20 minutes per unit. These times include laying out extension cord and setting up equipment and fall protection. They are also for an average installer in non-snowy, above freezing conditions, and that's based on 10 plus years of data. A rockstar installer can do it faster. For each type of installation, just add another 25%, and that will give you an estimate of how long your removal will take. So for example, if an installation takes 60 minutes, removal will take around 15 minutes. Okay, here's an example of how to calculate your price versus the unit price you should charge your clients. Let's say you're installing on a roof line and the unit price per light bulb is $1.25 and the socket costs you 30 cents. You can add accessories, that's clips, extension cords, timers, plugs, etc., as an additional 10% incidental to your unit price rather than calculating each accessory consumed. It's just much easier that way. So when you add those numbers, your total unit price will be $1.70 per foot. For landscaping, let's say you're canopy wrapping trees with mini lights, and one string of mini lights costs $18 plus the 10% for accessories. That will bring you to $19.80 per string of lights. Okay, so in this example, we're going to calculate product prices that will give you a 50% margin. And I should say, these aren't real prices, by the way. Go to our website for the most up-to-date pricing, and don't forget to account for your Pro Installer discount code. With the 50% margin, your $1.70 cost per foot on the roof line would bring the client to $3.40 per foot. For the mini lights on the trees, a 50% margin will cost your clients $39.80 per string of lights. Now for labor, it's a good idea to increase your margin to 70% here because it's expensive to recruit, train, compensate, and generally keep employees happy, not to mention the performance incentives you'll want to implement. You're going to want your client price to cover these business costs. So let's say you pay your employees $30 per hour. At a 70% margin, your clients will pay $100 per hour. One important note is that this model is a selling model where the customer becomes the owner of the lights. The leasing model, where the client does not own the lights, is different because the labor price must be blended into product pricing and you'll charge the same price year after year. However, you'll also want to lower the product pricing slightly too, so that it's amortized over 2 or 3 or however many years you decide, in order to stay competitive with installers using the selling model, where customers get to keep the lights afterwards. So that last example should give you a good idea of how to price your jobs. But when calculating those prices, keep in mind that you'll want the quote that you give your clients to be as simple as possible. Don't include any hourly rates. If the total price for the job works out to be around $3,000, quote them that. That approach is way more likely to get you a sale than telling a client that you'll charge them $100 per hour, for example. Hourly rates have low intrinsic value, and it just makes them think about how long your installation will take, and it gives them uncertainty about what the total cost will be. It's also a good idea to include removal in your labor fee as a flat cost, not just the installation. That way, there aren't any hidden costs, and you can be more simple and transparent with your client. Remember, they just want a turnkey solution to their Christmas lights. Keep it simple. Confused customers don't buy. Lastly, make sure you collect 100% of your pay before Christmas. You can charge a 50% deposit before the job, but you'll want to get the remaining 50% immediately after the installation is finished. Collecting money gets increasingly difficult after the holidays. With that in mind, let's look at an example of a completed quote. It's this level of simplicity that you should show your prospective client. Your roofline unit price with your preferred margin is $3.40, and there is 200 feet of roofline. $3.40 times 200 will be a total of $680. For landscaping, the unit price is $39.60, and you need 20 strings of lights to wrap all the trees on this client's property. $39.60 times 20 gives you $792. And finally, when calculating the labor price of this installation, you'll multiply the 200 feet of roofline by 2 minutes per foot, which will give you 400 minutes or 6.7 hours, plus you'll calculate an additional 25% for removal time. That will bring you up to 500 minutes or 8.3 hours. For the tree wraps, you'll multiply 20 strings of lights by 10 minutes per string. That gives you 3.3 hours plus an additional 25% for removal. That's 4.2 hours. Add those two totals together and that gives you 12.5 hours. Multiply that by 100 and that will give you 1,250, which is what you'll charge for the total labor of this job. Altogether, this quote comes to $2,722, which you can show your client. This quote gives your client a simple enough explanation of the cost without going into too many details and confusing them, which could potentially scare them away and prevent you from getting your sale. So again, be upfront with your client and don't have hidden costs, but don't show them more than they need to see. The first parts of this video were for you to understand. The last part of this video is for your client to understand. So that was an in-depth guide on how to quote a job as a light installation company. We hope this is helpful for you, but if there's anything we missed or you need any other questions answered, please let us know. Like this video and leave a comment below, and please subscribe to this channel for more content like this.